You know what's strange? When people talk about childhood trauma, they almost always talk about what happened. The fights, the yelling, the moments you can point to and say, that's where something broke. But there's another kind of trauma, and it doesn't come from what happened, it comes from what never did. No one comforted you when you cried. No one asked how you felt and actually meant it. No one helped you understand your emotions. And because nothing bad seemed obvious, you grew up thinking everything was fine. But it wasn't. Because the absence of something essential can shape you just as deeply as pain. And here's the part most people miss. Children don't sit there and think something is wrong. They adapt. They adjust. They survive. And those survival strategies, they grow up with you. They start to look like personality traits, like strengths. But underneath, there's something else. Let's talk about them. First, you never ask for help. People probably admire this about you. You handle things on your own. You don't rely on anyone. You figure it out. But let's be honest, that's not independence. That's protection. Because at some point, asking for help didn't work. Maybe you were ignored. Maybe you were dismissed. Maybe you were made to feel like a burden. So your brain learns something very simple. Needing people leads to disappointment. So you stopped needing them. You built a life where you rely on yourself. And yes, that makes you strong, but it also makes you alone. Second, you don't know what you're feeling. Someone asks, "How do you feel about this?" And your mind goes blank. Not because you're hiding something, but because you genuinely don't know. This has a name: emotional disconnection. As kids, we learn emotions through reflection. A parent says, "You're upset because that hurt you." And suddenly, the feeling makes sense. But if no one ever did that for you, your emotions stayed undefined. So instead of understanding them, you learned to disconnect from them. Now, as an adult, it can feel like you're watching your own life from a distance. You're not cold. You're not empty. You just were never taught how to understand what's happening inside you. Third, you over-explain everything. You're 5 minutes late and you give a full speech explaining why. You make a decision and immediately justify it. You explain things no one even questioned. Why? Because at some point, just being wasn't enough. You had to explain yourself, defend yourself, prove yourself. So now, even when no one is judging you, you're still defending yourself. Not to the people in front of you, but to someone from your past. Fourth, you apologize for everything. You say sorry when someone bumps into you. You apologize for asking questions, for needing help, for existing a little too loudly. That's not politeness. That's conditioning. At some point, you learned that your presence was inconvenient, so you made yourself smaller, quieter, easier, less demanding. And now, every sorry you say carries the same hidden message. I'm sorry for taking up space. Now, pause for a second. If you're recognizing yourself in any of this, I need you to hear something clearly. There is nothing wrong with you. These aren't flaws. They're adaptations. Your mind did exactly what it was supposed to do. It protected you. But the problem is, you're still using survival tools in a life where you don't need to survive like that anymore. Fifth, you're hyper-aware of everyone else. You can read a room instantly. You notice tone changes, energy shifts, subtle tension no one else picks up on. People call it emotional intelligence. And yes, it is. But it's also something else, hypervigilance. Because when you were younger, you had to read the room. You had to know, is it safe to speak? Is it safe to ask? Is it safe to exist right now? So you became adaptable, flexible,
like a mirror. But here's the cost. When you're always reflecting others, you start to lose sight of who you are. Seventh, you don't trust your own judgment. You overthink everything. Did I say the wrong thing? Do they actually like me? Was that a mistake? This isn't random anxiety. This comes from a time when your reality was dismissed. When you said, "I'm hurt," and someone told you, "No, you're not." When your feelings were corrected instead of understood. So you learned, "I can't trust myself." And now you constantly look outside yourself for confirmation. Eighth, you're there for everyone, but disappear when you need help. You're the strong one, the listener, the supporter, the one people rely on. But when you're struggling, you go quiet. You handle it alone, or you don't handle it at all. Because deep down, you learned something dangerous. My value comes from what I give, not from who I am. So giving feels safe, but receiving feels uncomfortable, suspicious, even undeserved. And that's how you can be surrounded by people and still feel completely alone. Now, here's the truth. Most people never tell you. All of these patterns, they make perfect sense. They were built by a child who had to survive without what they needed. But you're not that child anymore. And these patterns, they're starting to cost you something. Connection, peace, authenticity. Healing doesn't happen all at once. It starts small, saying, "I'd prefer this," instead of, "I don't mind." Pausing before you say sorry when you've done nothing wrong. Letting someone help you, even when you could do it yourself. These seem like small things, but they're not. They're how you slowly take off the armor you've been wearing your whole life. You don't have to fight yourself anymore. You don't have to shrink. You don't have to earn your place in people's lives. You were never too much. You were never not enough. You were just a child who needed more than they were given, and that child still deserves to be seen. If any of this felt personal, drop a comment and tell me which one hit you the hardest, because naming it, that's where healing starts. And if you know someone who lives like this without even realizing why, share this video with them. It might help them understand themselves in a way they never have before. And if this spoke to you, don't forget to like and subscribe, because we're going to keep having conversations like this. Real ones. The ones people don't usually talk about.